you received today are going to be gone over a little in this meeting, not everything. And then the rest will be when we separate out into our groups to discuss the recommendations from the commission, as well as the other smaller groups that we need to meet as. A little bit of protocols and communication. Since we are on a Zoom meeting, if you have video function on, please make sure you show your entire face so we see who we're communicating with on the VAC. Amy will monitor who comes and goes from the meeting. And if you don't want to have your face on, but we see your name on there, that's fine too. We just want to make this a safe environment for everybody to feel like they can have a conversation. Okay, breathe. Okay, so normally we have board member comments. Today's agenda is so packed that we have put that aside. Please don't make comments during the public time unless there is time slotted at the very, very end. We did have some requests made to be put onto today's agenda. If those are time sensitive, please let us know. We will create another meeting and put those items, if they're like for legislation or things that have to be taken care of before our next meeting, please let us know right away and we will create another meeting and have the board available for that. Today we're going to talk about the findings from the investigation. A little reminder, first I have to read this. Mark Scholl sent an email today, and after recommendations from several veterans, I will not attend the VAC meeting today in order to enable the council to conduct business without me in the meeting. I am confident that the VAC will take appropriate action on the recommendations from Gary Schmidt, and I look forward to hearing the VAC's report in June. Mission first, vets always. If the VAC needs anything from him, please do not hesitate to contact him. And then sincerely, Commissioner Mark Scholl. Okay. And then I have a few housekeeping things. We have upcoming elections of officers in June. So if you are wanting to be on the exec committee, please let someone know, and we will be discussing that in our June meeting. We have several open seats on our board currently. Please get out there, and we are going to be opening recruitment very soon. So get interested parties. Let them know that the recruitment is going to be opening soon. Amy has to work on that. And then also, if there is an issue between any of our board members and you would like to bring those issues up and have a mediator available, we can do that at an exec meeting and invite a mediator to come. Just let us know. That's always available for any of our board members. Okay, roll call. Amy, can you give us a roll call real quick to see how many people we have? You're muted.
So we have Jerry Craig, Paul Edgar, Joe Kowinski, Arby Green, Casey Curry, Scott Southard.
Is there anybody that's not on video but still in the participation?
Adam was present, but he has left. I do not see him.
I'm sure he'll click back. He's there.
I'm here.
Adam's here.
Okay.
I just had to shut it down real quick.
And Lori Kimmel is also here.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, has everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes from our previous meeting? Is that a yay? Give a thumbs up. Okay. So we have enough members. All of those in favor of approving the minute meetings? All those opposed? Oh, sorry.
Ayes.
I can't see everybody, so. Do we have any objections to the meeting minutes? Okay. So Amy will make sure those are approved as part.
UFO.
I guess. I don't. Is that any better? Okay. I'm echoing. I don't know why. My apologies. Okay, so we'll move on to the next. Did anybody have any changes? Okay. So as you know, we were under investigation from our meeting in February. And we had Gary Schmidt, who is the county administrator, review that, that board meeting. And at this time, his comments are, my recommendation is not to disband the Veterans Advisory Council, but rather have several action items I propose that we do ask them to undertake. I will say that after my review of the February 25th meeting, I felt from my perspective, it actually was a quite respectful meeting. There were some strong opinions shared, but the meeting itself appeared to be professional. And then he offered the board some areas of improvement for us. There was discussion amongst the commissioners about how they felt about the investigation. And then we have our report. And so everybody should have a copy of that. Hang on. Sorry, I got to pull everything up on my computer. I did that one. So before I read the report, I just want to take a moment. This is a great opportunity for this board to do a reset and just appreciate what the Board of Commission recommends to improve our processes. There's always room for improved processes. We as a board want to show them the value of the 33,000 veterans that we have in Clackamas County. So figuring out a way that we communicate that with them is what our task is before us. And then, so we're going to read over that document. Amy, can you pull that document up and the recommendations from Gary? Perfect, thank you. So what they are asking from us as a board is to have the following done by June, the end of June. The Veterans Advisory Council will prepare an updated work plan and goals for the next year, which will include projects and the council will directly participate in. This will include measure metrics with a timeline to outline, there we go, outline opportunities to support veteran goals and priorities within, come on, I can read this, both the Clackamas County and Health, Housing, and Human Services Department, performance, Clackamas priorities and results. Review the VAC bylaws again and suggest revisions or updates, including a review of the membership and membership requirements for the VAC. Offer ways to better engage with the Board of County Commissioners. Consider revising the VAC mission purpose statement. Offer ways to better engage with and coordinate with the External Veterans Community, National Guard, and Camp Withicum, and sponsor identify veterans events in the community for the Board of Commissioners and staff to engage in. Hang on. Can you scroll up for me, Amy? It's not scrolling for me. Thank you. Support the VAC, and the county staff will support the VAC in the requests above and determine which county department division would best support the work of the VAC. And then the timeline, the VAC will report back to the Board of County Commissioners in June 2021 with status update and or completion of these tasks. Thank you, Amy. And so everybody should have received a copy of that in their emails today. What I will say is we need to put together a group of board members to come together and complete all of these tasks. These will need to be multiple Zoom meetings. We do have one person that has been assigned to us. Her name is Erin, and I think she's on the call. I'm not sure if she is, but her name is Erin, and she has written down some possible things for us to go over to meet these guidelines. I have also done some stuff that I know from history we've done and things that can work going forward. But I really need to know how board members feel about this document that was given to us and who would like to be in the group. And Amy, can you please take, thank you. Who would like to be in that group to discuss the things going forward?
I'm Paul Edgar, and I would like to be part of the group. And one of the things I would be recommending is we did not mention the auxiliary, we did not mention the VFW, we did not mention the American Legion, we didn't mention entities like Fort Kennedy, which really interact with homeless veterans on a daily basis.
Absolutely, and that's
and these are the core people out there that are out there and understand oftentimes who is in trouble or who they might be able to, how we might be able to better interact and help people too. So there's a lot of people here that have those connections, and I believe those connections are critical.
Absolutely. And that's part of what we will be discussing when we present back to the board. But that's on the agenda. So thanks, Paul.
Amy, this is Casey. You can put me on that committee.
Do your best.
Tracy,
Yes.
this is Lori Kimmel speaking.
Hello.
Another thing you left off is legislative. The full legislature only comes around for 2 years, and there's a lot of issues that come up, especially with veterans. And we don't have a huge delegation down there, and I've been kind of spearheading that on my own, but we should add a legislative liaison.
I agree. We used to have one on our board, but she just recently retired from the board. So that's a great idea. Thank you. Is anybody else wanting to be on this committee? Just raise your hand and Amy will take count.
Sorry, I'll do it. I'm just driving right now.
Okay.
Sorry, Adam. I have a quick
No, you're
question.
fine.
How about you, Jerry? Come on.
The
We need
report
you.
back, excuse me. When we report back to the Board of Commissioners in June, is that going to be at the commissioners at their monthly meeting, or?
As far as I know, it's going to be at a monthly meeting. I do not have the specifics on that yet. No
Okay.
one on the commission has talked to me, so I'm getting this all third hand. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, I'll put me on the committee too, Tracy.
All right. Thank you.
Just not sure how many groups we're gonna have out of this when we get done.
It's going to be a lot of work that we're going to be accomplishing in May. I would say, I think we were talking 2 to 3 meetings a week. We'll try and make them short meetings of an hour, have people go back, do a little bit of legwork and thinking of what they want to see, and then go forward. Okay.
So I'd just like to know that Commissioner Schrader has her hands up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let you guys get through this, but when you give me a minute, I can help clarify, I think, some of the outcomes we want to see, if that's okay. But you guys need to get through your meeting first. So, okay, all right. Tracy, you're muted. You're muted.
There we go. Is there anything you needed to add, Brenda, as far as who our person is that's going to be with us to discuss?
I'll just introduce Erin Schwartz. Erin Schwartz works in the department director's office. She has tremendous skills around outcome measures, process improvement. She's just been assigned to us for a short time to help us walk through the recommendations and present a complete report to the board when we're all done with our work. So I really want to thank Erin for her willingness to help us with this project.
Perfect. Welcome, Erin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Did anybody have any discussion about the remarks at all? From the commission? Okay. We will go on to the overview of the proposed equity statement. And Amy, can you pull that up, please? So we met briefly during a Zoom meeting and put this together. And this will be something that will be eventually added to our not our minutes, sorry, our bylaws. So has everybody had a chance to read through it?
Not.
Okay.
Where's the hand? Okay. This would really help if we could have this to us a week ahead of time, so we could go through it piece by piece to see if we're reinventing the wheel. Checking with the county clerk, there's about 4 different equity statements on file that have been recorded and that have done by the commissioner and by Clackamas County. So it appears we're reinventing the wheel, but to be sure, what we need is we need this a week ahead of time before the meeting, not the night before.
Well, this is just a draft, and it'll be open for a month. We won't vote on it until our next meeting. So we just wanted to open it up for discussion after the first group met and put these in. Were there any other comments? Anything that you think needs to be added or deleted? We can do this through email, but then it gets kind of, something might get lost in an email. So if you bring any corrections or things that you want, we can vote at it at the next meeting, or it can be done at our June meeting.
So Tracy,
Yes.
question. So this subcommittee that we're going to be getting together with, we're going to be meeting multiple times during the week. Is that not what we're going to be doing and then present it to the board to be voted on?
That will be done as well. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
This is the equity statement that we had discussed in
Mhm.
our last meeting that needed to be done for the Veterans Advisory Board.
Yeah, well, because I have several comments.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have to jet out of here in a few minutes. So I will just, who's gonna chair that meeting? Is that gonna be you, Tracy?
Yes,
Could people just email you
they
If-
could.
comments about it? We can send out our meeting dates to the whole board. That way they have time to read through stuff and then send us their thoughts and stuff beforehand, so that they can also be included.
Absolutely. And if you would make sure that Amy is copied on that so she can see what we're thinking of adding and subtracting, since she puts all these together, that would be great.
Nice, thank you.
Any further discussion? Paul, did you have any comments, or Jerry, since you guys were on the committee?
Nope.
Trying to think of who else. And this one is just specific for the VAC. So I don't know, do all the boards not have an equity statement in their bylaws?
No, it's not a
Um,
requirement for committees to have an equity statement.
Okay.
Hey, Tracy, I don't believe the equity statements need to be part of the bylaws. They just need to be part of our
Overall package.
overall packet.
I got you.
And if I could make a suggestion, you
Yes,
could actually ask Martine Colbens and her team to help you with a statement if you want to have them look it over, because that's their job. And whether it's in the bylaws or not, I think having it as part of an addendum that you work with is going to be important, but they're here to help you craft your vision of what that looks like for your committee. So just a suggestion with that.
Well, that is a good suggestion, Commissioner, because this one appears to be very much like the other ones that are already recorded that the county has affirmed. And since Martine is the EEO specialist, that would be the person to go to.
Thank you all.
But little point of order here for procedural rules and bylaws for all types of organizations, amending the bylaws under Roberts, which is under in our bylaws, they have to be amended through a main motion, amend something previously adopted. The procedure for raising the motion is the same as any other motions, except the bylaws may specifically say special rules for the motion's adoption, although the bylaws must include notice and a 2/3 vote for adoption of the amendment.
That's correct. But we have been asked by our commission to relook at our bylaws. So this isn't something that we are going to be voting on prior to changing. We'll vote on it once the changes come, then that information will go out to everybody on the board. There will be plenty of time for there to be a vote and for people to make changes that need to make changes.
And also it states the notice of the motion of the amendment must limit the permissible primary and secondary amendments. The organization cannot reconsider affirmative votes on the motion to amend the bylaws. Even though the motion is a main motion, other main motions may be pending at the same time for changes by the bylaws.
Well, we're hoping that this is the last time that we have to change the bylaws, since we just changed them in, September or October of last year. So we've looked at these bylaws over and over, and hopefully there won't be a lot of changes that have to happen. there any other discussion on the bylaws? So do we need to make a motion to look over the bylaws prior to looking them over for changes? Do we need to make that motion?
No,
Okay,
You can make a motion to table it until the next meeting.
to table the vote for, wait, I'm confused. You're wanting us to make a motion to table the bylaw discussion before the next meeting?
We were talking about the proposed equity statement, isn't that correct?
Yes, and that's not being voted on at this meeting. Everybody has had the opportunity to look at it. So are you wanting us to, we don't need to put that in our bylaws. Like Martha said, it'd be like an addendum to our bylaws.
Right, I got that.
Okay,
About the proponent equity statement, like I said, we only got it last night. I got it about 5:30. So it would be more advantageous for this committee to be able to look at it and make an informed decision.
absolutely. And that's why we're not voting on it until next month. And unless there's changes that need to be made next month, and then we would vote on it in June.
Well, you can make a motion to table it until the next meeting. That way it doesn't, there wasn't any action taken.
Okay. I make a motion that we table the proposed equity statement to the next meeting.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
so I'd like to make a recommendation here. Lori, I hear you and really appreciate your comments about needing to get these documents out sooner. I think that in those lines, if people would like to make revisions to the equity statement, they get them to Amy Kelsey 2 weeks prior to our next meeting. That way we can make recommended changes and then give all members a good 2 weeks to respond. So offline, I'll ask Amy to figure out what 2 weeks before our next meeting is. I will send out a special notice just to remind people about that date. We'll accept your recommended changes and then get them out so folks have a more appropriate amount of time to review for our next meeting.
Are we going to have Martine look at them also?
Yes.
Yes.
If I could make a statement, I would just, this should not be rocket science. We've talked about it. I think it should be something very simple that we can just move ahead with. My hope is that we try to keep it where what was created here really comes right off of what the county has already adopted, virtually using their thinking and wording. And so we're not trying to make it divisive in any way. Let's just move ahead. We do not endorse any type of practices or condone racism. The 4 bullet points call it out, and that's really who we are.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is the update on veteran homelessness with Erica.
Okay, hi, everybody. So I want to first say that Dave Denny and Aaron Henry are also here, and they're critical parts of the team. We at the county, we have some internal programs for veteran homelessness. There's one program with 30 housing slots called Veterans Rental Assistance Program. That is for veterans with long-term homelessness that also have severe and persistent mental illness diagnoses. And Tito Mendoza and Samuel Monkusevath are the staff for that. Aaron Henry is the landlord outreach and also the Veterans Rapid Rehousing case manager. And that runs from about 10 to maybe 14 housing slots. Then Dave is the homeless veteran outreach. We also have another program called Housing Our Heroes that has about 18 housing slots, and that is for veterans with long-term homelessness with also disabilities. So we work really closely. Our programs that we have are part of a wider continuum that also, I guess I can take this off. My niece is here right now, but it's too hard to talk. So we're part of a wider continuum that includes HUD, BASH, some other rapid rehousing called Supportive Services for Veteran Families. It certainly also includes Fort Kennedy and the veterans employment that you're going to hear about. And we've been working in a coordinated fashion now for probably, I'm guessing, about 5 years. And the results, because we started to see some success, and that success kind of just built on itself. The county has a performance goal in Team Clackamas to bring veteran homelessness to 0. And I'm really, really incredibly humbled to report that we're getting really close to that. So about 2 years ago, our number of known homeless veterans was about 200. And I know I reported at our last meeting that it was down. In January, it was down to 54. In March, it was down further to 40. And in April, it is now down to 36. So we are getting really close to being able to apply for it's called net zero veteran homelessness. I can't think of the exact name right now, but we're very close to that. And what that means is that it's not that there won't be any more new homeless veterans, because we know that there will be, but it means that as we become aware of new known homeless veterans, we're able to very quickly locate a housing spot for them, and so that they do not enter long-term homelessness. So I don't know if Aaron or Dave, if either of you want to chime in anything, but really I just want to say that this coordinated approach, and Kenny, you're also part of this too, this coordinated approach where we work very closely with our partners. It's really wonderful to be able to see what an impact it's making. And I think that as the housing bond measure, continues to kind of kick in, it's going to give us really a chance for 0 veteran homelessness, and hopefully the not too distant future.
Dave or Aaron, are you wanting to add to that?
Well, I don't. I think, Erica, I think you did a great job of covering everything. And it's just shows how the community advocacy works. And if we work together, we can accomplish anything.
Yes.
And I'll also mention the Built for Zero is a template that a lot of the other U.S. cities and counties are using. And our HVCT, our Homeless Veterans Coordination Team, has been spearheading that well before the last 5 years, as Erica said, working with our other agencies and organizations to identify how we can work collaboratively to end homelessness, so their time homeless is less when there's a collaboration to get them housed. So Built for Zero is hopefully in the future a direction where a lot of the other programs within the Clackamas County will continue moving towards.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's just been kind of at our foundation is that those two words, homeless and veteran, really never should go together. And unfortunately they do all too often. So, I cannot say enough for the team, and both within Clackamas County and our community partners, and this approach, which, as Dave said, we've been doing long before the Built for Zero, but we're really seeing the result of it now.
If I could make a comment in here, there's a high degree of concern that there's a lot of people out there, including veterans, who have not been paying their rent for a long time. They have been deferring it. And this deferring of rent is going to put a lot of people into a real problem area. And how we could be proactively going out and trying to contact veterans, maybe through mailings, or what if we know that we have X number of veterans in Clackamas County, and we were to try to do an outreach effort to make sure that those veterans that are on the cusp of being potentially houseless, we are ahead of that curve, because most people see this as a major issue that's in front of us, and veterans should not be any different than anyone else. If they have not been paying their rent for a long time and they don't have the monies to be able to do it, we should be trying to think through how we can prevent them from being a casualty of what could be a tidal wave. And this is all about being proactive. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Go
There
ahead,
will
Eric.
be a lot of public information going out about the next wave of rental assistance. And we definitely have talked about using some of the more sophisticated social media specificity that is now available to reach different groups. We're having a meeting with our public and government affairs next week. And we certainly want to make sure that veterans get equal access. And as you know, there has been already a lot of rent assistance going out on the street. I don't have the exact number in front of me of how many veterans have been helped, but a good number have definitely already been helped.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you for that question, Paul. I'll also add that we plan to, in the next month or so, release a request for proposals for entities that want to help distribute these rent assistance funds. There's some of the funds that are going to be coming through a statewide portal that we expect many people will need some assistance with. So we're going to be seeking culturally specific organizations, including organizations that serve veterans, who can get trained up on how to use that system and then help their clients and customers access the rent assistance. Right now in Clackamas County, we have about $20 million in rent assistance, and we expect a similar amount coming through the Biden American Rescue Plan. So while we understand that there may be some bottlenecks as we try to process all of these dollars, there is a fairly significant amount of money available, and we will be working with community partners to make sure that all county residents, and particularly those who have barriers like lack of computer access, have some help in accessing these funds.
That's wonderful to hear, and I really appreciate all of the hard work you all have done. Many of you know this is personal for me. Had my brother had this when he came back from Iraq, I think things would have been a lot different. So I appreciate all of the work that you guys do for our homeless veterans. Please continue, and any way that this board can help you, let us know. We're here. So, does anybody else have any comments?
I just had one question for Ms. Silver. How is the Veterans Village holding up? Is it full? Does it need repair? Do we need the community to get out there and help it in the physical plant?
Everything that I hear is that it's holding up pretty well. That's definitely part of our coordination. They're mostly full. I could bring a report on that next time, and we could ask, or you all tell me when you want a more detailed report, and I'm happy to facilitate that.
Hey, Erica and Lori, I can give you a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about that in the employment update that's coming up. But I've been out to the village about once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what's needed. And they're doing quite well out there. It's going on. Do Good has done a pretty darn good job, and yeah, they've done a lot of landscaping themselves and that kind of stuff, and it looks good. It's tight, and they're doing really well out there.
Well, thank you.
We don't want to have problems like they had with Do Good in Multnomah County, where they had that horrific housing project that was that they managed, and it just went to hell, and no one reported it until the Channel 6 News picked it up, and it was terrible. Yeah, and I don't know how that could have ever happened.
Anybody else have anything to say? Well, again, thank you for that report. And Erica, if you could do something for our June meeting, just a brief report back of what's going on out there, that would be great. Let us know if you need any assistance. We're here for you.
No, we'll ask some of the people from the Vets Village themselves to also come. So yeah,
Perfect.
that'll be great. Just
okay,
we can do that for June.
All right, thank you. So next is Ken with an update from employment, veterans employment.
All right, guys. Thank you. I'm Kenny Beechek. I work as a job developer for the Veterans Employment Program. I work under the Children, Family, and Community Connections umbrella. Let me go through this. Please ask questions if you have any along the way. I'll try to make this brief and time myself a little bit here because I could go all day. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that were in the very beginning here. I mean, this last year, of course, I won't go into great detail, but COVID has always been that problem. And so the programs like OED and some of them have not been available as much. So we have really worked very hard on partnering with those folks and partnering with different programs, learning how to do the Zoom meetings and all that other kind of stuff. Technology is not, when we're all working from home, but it is working. I'll explain that some more. Partners, clients, everybody has been really tough on that. And the other thing with our veterans, because the type of veterans that I'm currently working with are not your just get a resume and go on. These are multiple barriered, a lot of folks from corrections, a lot of folks from the homeless veterans coordination team. We're making an impact, but they're not your typical veterans. So they're not somebody that just needs a little bit of work. Political unrest and civil unrest and COVID-19 have been the three major things that have been on the discussion with my veterans that I'm working with. It's interesting because some of the lessons I've learned along the way have been to sit down and listen, pay attention to what's going on. Having some extra time while I'm developing a plan for these folks as I get them and they're referred to me, I develop an employment plan. We look at, barriers to employability. We go through all these things and spending a little extra time, not a lot of extra time listening to what's going on in their lives and try to help them with those. Talking about the stress options has been just great. Reducing that stress and taking part in some of the programs that are out there and learning that. It hasn't been easy because it's hard to communicate, but it can be done. And I've made some great connections on a professional, personal level with a lot of the partners that are out there working from home. So, and lots of change, lots and lots of change. Let me say also one lessons learned here that we opened our doors down at the Main Street office for veterans on July of last year, open to the public on an as needed basis. Now that means for me, I'm seeing probably about 4 to 5 a week down there, maybe sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what's going on. It's like going through a doctor's office, but we have computers, we have our employment lab, and it's manned every day by someone. But when I bring somebody down there, I sit with them and we work with them and we follow all the guidelines according to risk management, and they were very supportive in helping us open that up. So we've been doing that for, well, since July of last year. And I think, gosh, with all our other programs that we do, we've seen about 360 people, but that has been very good. And some of you have come down and met with me down there just to have a place to communicate and that's safe and works. So resumes, applications, interviewing, everybody gets that stuff when we get them coming in to build a plan. It's kind of interesting. I hate to say this, but there's some of them are just completely lost and there's no place to go to get that. The employment department, the DevOps, great folks, but they're kind of limited on what they can do. It's starting to open up now and we're getting some more. We just started a new program and it's veterans employment options. It's going to have some of our community partners. We've only met twice now, but that's going to be through OED, and I'm on that. But it's been tough getting everybody together. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the outcomes that have been happening. Placements. I work with about 20 to 25 people at any one given time. Our placement rate is about 60% currently. I work with a total of about 40 people in plan. I work with many more outside the plan that have been referred, maybe don't live in Clackamas County, don't qualify for the program, but the ones that come into plan that we're working on. And these are, like I say, not your normal person out looking for work. I get a lot of them from corrections, the homeless coordination team and all that, but the VSOs, even Easter Seals and a few of these nonprofits out there, I get referrals from them. And walk-ins, they hear about us, so they come in and next thing you know, I'm making an appointment and we're sitting down and having a conversation about what they want to be and what they want to do when they grow up, that kind of thing. So placements, we're about a 60% placement rate right now. It's a moving target. I think my quarterly report is done and I'm shooting for, what do we got here? 2166 has been our average wage. Some of those are pretty high, some of those are very low. We always shoot for $20 or more an hour. But a lot of veterans are going to be part-time and minimum wage is the right fit for them at that time. We're doing some micro enterprise work. We've got 3 people working in their own businesses. I just met one and did some car repair for this person because my program this program also has some support service components for car repairs, transportation, that kind of stuff. And that's been fantastic. So yeah, the locations and building these businesses with these folks have been kind of interesting because a lot of them are home-based businesses, but they're making money and they're doing quite well. I'm looking forward to the recent one, which is a cleaning service, a veteran from Clayton Moore, and he was homeless for quite some time. He's been cleaning for years. Now we're putting him through the Small Business Development Center, getting him set up for a plan. It's been great. So that's a typical way of putting something together for someone, but let's find out what the barriers are. Let's find out what's needed and let's put them to work. Let's get that plan in place. Let's see here, placements. Yeah, oh, and I just had 2 recent ones. So that average wage is going to go up. Just one of my guys got a job at Otis. Gosh, great, $40 an hour as a helper. Otis Elevator, that he's got the skill set, both from the military and from his personal or his home life and work that he's done. Well, he walked into a great job. And then of course, Brigger Marine hired one of my guys yesterday at over $33 an hour. So we're hoping good things to come from that. We're doing an awful lot with trainings. Let's talk about trainings for just a moment. WIOA, I love it. Clackamas Community College, been a partner. Some of you have heard me talk about this in the past. We're doing some OJTs. We're doing some Jobs Plus with some of our folks that are on TANF. If a vet has TANF benefits. We've got a couple of what we call job carved placements. This is somebody that really wants to go to work, but doesn't have the capabilities. It could be mental illness. In one case, it is. Another case was drug and alcohol, corrections, and we used the WIOA program. So for them to get into that program, it's administered through our workforce board, but the college has the contract for that, and they're all working from home. So they come down, they meet with me at the office. We set up their iMatch skills. We put them on through, get them prepared for the trainings. We eliminate as many of those barriers that needs to become so that they can make it through those classes and those trainings, whether it's on the job training or going to class itself. And it's interesting because they're getting into jobs they never thought they could ever do. It's amazing, and I've got lots of good success stories, but I'll do at the very end here. I'll do a very brief success story, but yeah, it's working with those partner agencies, Darcy Ivan at the community college and Tom Brown at the community college. Fantastic. The tech hire grant did really well for us, and again, it's bridging those resources together and being that conduit so that we can get the people in front of the right resource, even during this tough time when people are not really working in their offices. They're working from home, but there's still ways. If there's a will, there's a way, and that's kind of what we're doing. A lot of outside the box stuff. So it's been fun. I mean, I'm enjoying seeing some of these successes. We're working really hard on some of the setbacks. But even when we find out that something doesn't work, if somebody blows out of a job, that means we're not in the right area yet. And that's actually a good thing. I know employers hear me say this. Well, if they don't work out for you, send them back my way. Here's why, because we're barking up the wrong tree. So in our plans, that's what's going on. Let me talk a little bit about the activities. I'm going out to the Veterans Village quite a bit. We're doing plans with them. We've got some really good, I also go to Clayton Moore, at least twice a month, or now as needed when they finally identify somebody that's literally looking for work, and we sit down. Jesse and I will go through that particular person and we'll staff them, and then I'll meet with them, and then we start putting them into a plan. So everyone in my plans gets resumes, applications, interviewing skills, and then job leads, lots and lots of job leads. But it's finding that right fit that's going to work is really kind of important. So Clayton Moore Veterans Village, the workforce partnership with OED, I sit on that board, and that's a newly created one. So I'm looking forward to that. And then of course our homeless coordination team. Erica was right. I mean, there's so much good stuff going on with those guys, and a lot of it has to do with the employment side of things, and we try to do our best. So I staff with them all the time. Aaron and some of those guys probably get tired of listening to me. Employers, the other thing that we are doing here is a big push with employers. We have a lot of work out there, guys. There's just an absolute ton of work going on. People are hiring, but it's, again, making a good fit for someone. If it's a Heister driver down at the Willamette Falls paper and we do an OJT and we get that person in, we're requesting employers to overlook some of the things that might have caused them to not hire them in the first place. Criminal records is one of them. I work with several SOs, sex offenders, and programs like Free on the Outside, and then some of the employers that I work with make a great connection because normally they wouldn't even consider it. But now there's a need, and we're really, I try to want them to hire the person, and then we'll look at the barrier, and then we'll decide what we can do afterwards. If they know that it's a person and it's a good set of skills, they'll actually take them. And that's me. That's the sales side. So I wear my sales hat at that point, going out to these different employers. I can't tell you how many of them there are. There's a ton. We answer that phone all the time on who the employers are and making those connections. And if it warrants it, then we do a connection with the, Easter Seals maybe, or the community college, and bring them on board. And then we sit down with a 3-way, 4-way and have a conversation and build a plan that way. I love the fact that a lot of these employers are willing to work with these folks. They just have to understand what they're, what they can do. And it is okay if that doesn't work out, because we're looking for something better then. Let me see here. One of the things, I've only got a few minutes left here. Let me just give you a quick example and then I'll answer any questions. I had a gentleman, 10 years. I met him he was 10 years on the streets in Portland, substance abuse, heroin addict. And he was lost. I met him at the Village. We worked with him over there. But he came to me with one spark in his eye, which was, I really want to change. And the Veterans Village gave him that opportunity to do that. Johnny and I worked with him out there before Johnny had left, and who was the manager out there. And we started this guy, got him hooked up, got him clean, tested him. And once we got him clean, then he went to school at Clackamas Community College in welding. He got into the tech hire grant, which is where Tom Brown came in, and we case managed him through there. He started out, he even went to an employer. We got him started out at ICC in Canby, which was a good partner. It was too much for him. He didn't last, but he did very, very well, trying his best. But there was a very rambunctious supervisor, and his PTSD just kicked in, and so we failed at that point. But no, not failed. We found out what doesn't work. We got him into another apprenticeship program as a fabricator, and he's now working for a chimney company in Portland, and he is doing very, very well. Again, all throughout this, he's been clean, sober, doing his very best, and we communicate all the time. And I can't say that enough. With all the barriers that are out there in our community these days, communication is the key factor here. And just sitting down and talking to these guys, even after they've been placed for many days. So give you an idea, he makes $16 an hour now. His future looks very good, but his attitude is fantastic. And he's no longer under a bridge in Portland. He's here, he's working. He's paying taxes, for crying out loud. I think that's awesome. So that's kind of what I had going on. I'll answer any questions. You
Thanks.
guys are making this way too easy on me.
I know, right? No, great job. And thanks for all you're doing for them out there. Does anybody have any questions for Ken? Comments?
Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you're doing out there. Really, I mean, this is great stuff. It's good info. Good to hear that things are moving in a positive way for our vets. So I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, if anybody has any,
I would like to say thank you very much. That was it's encouraging. We need encouragement like that. And that was exactly what was good. Thank you.
well, I tell you what, I couldn't do this kind of stuff without the partnerships that I have. And there's some great partners out here, but it just takes a little extra time and effort to work with them. Any of you anybody has a question at any time, just please feel free to get in touch with me. Tracy knows how to get in touch with me, but yeah, love to have a conversation. All right, thank you.
Keep up the good work. Okay. So Martha, is there, you said you wanted to speak first, so go right ahead, please. Is she still with us? There she is. Okay.
Just like us.
There you go.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, just like you. I never had to have to do all this stuff. It's crazy sauce. We're getting better at it. Hey, but thank you for letting me join the meeting. I wanted to have you folks go through the meeting. And I just wanted to give you a quick, some institutional memory of how we got started here with veterans. Back in 2007 and 8, we really, it really hadn't bubbled up yet. And it was a meeting with Shelley Perini and I, who was actually working in business and community services. And we did a tour of Camp Withicum because we were looking at Camp Withicum because it's a huge job multiplier in the county. They employ a lot of people. They employ a lot of people external to the work that they do inside, which is night goggles, fixing pumps, all the kinds of things that they do. And what we found out, not only was Withicum an economic engine for our industrial area, that's when we realized we were seeing a lot of these our National Guard, our Army Reserve being deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, so on and so forth. And they were coming home and being demobbed without much for them. So you had folks who literally were in a war zone, maybe on Monday, and by Thursday, they're home and they're out on the street. Much like the big Army, they didn't quite have the same level of reintegration. So that's how all of our veterans programs got started, essentially, because we saw the need with Withicum. We addressed that need. Governor Kulongowski appointed me to his veterans group at the state level. And it was with the National Guard and the Army Reserve that's when you started to see all the legislation in Salem that is pro-veteran. And that's one of the reasons I left the commission at that time, because I went down to Salem, became a senator, and I chaired the first Veterans Committee that Salem has ever had. And Peter Courtney has always promised me they will always have veterans committees from here on out. So that first set of legislation that we had crafted with Withicum and all those other folks, it's still ongoing. But it was Clackamas County and the work that we started here that really enabled a lot of this to roll out and happen. And just from my observation, I went to visit General Stencil, who's the current adjutant general at Withicum. They didn't realize we had a veterans village. They didn't realize that we had Clayton Moore Commons. They have never seen that. So that's a disconnect, folks. We really need, and I'm going to strongly suggest that we set aside some time to meet with the key people at Withicum, because we can help them with their military family programs. We can be there at their mobilizations. We can find out directly from them what they need. Shelley and I worked together and actually had a whole workforce education component directly with some of the veterans that immediately came back at that site. So I'd really like to see us, reinvigorate our connection with them. And also, we recently had a conversation with the general, and I can't remember his name, I apologize, but Tracy would probably remember it, but who was head of the Army National Reserve, which also is headquartered at Withicum. Mm-hmm. And they are really eager to work with our groups directly on veterans issues. So when I talk about this, when I talk about Withicum and hooking into that again, I'm really going to strongly suggest that you regularly have folks from those groups here to talk with you and be part of your conversations. We could be helping out much more, I think, robustly with military families. We could be doing more, I think, with our veteran services officers there. I will give kudos to the community college at Clackamas, because one of the big things we did also was organize one of the biggest, and I'm saying this for you, Ken, job fairs that they've ever seen in Clackamas County for veterans. It was a full day. We had music, we had families, we had food, we had our service members actively sitting in front of computers going through job searches. We had classes for them. It takes a lot of work. It took a lot of time, but we've done it before. And I would really like to see this group be far more proactive in what you plan to do as a volunteer body. I know you're supposed to advise us. Well, I get that too, but I also also kind of want to see you like Team Clackamas here for veterans. All right, that's kind of where I'd really like to see us reinvigorate. I don't want to say the good old days, but they were the good old days back then. And I know that your hearts are in it. But if we can reconnect with our military presence here with both the Reserve and Withicum, I think you will be pleasantly surprised at all the work we can do. And I also think we need to do more direct outreach to our VFWs. For example, I've been working with the VFW here in Oregon City, and they're going to be having a memorial service in May 15th up here at our Circle of Honor. You guys, because you're committed to this, you could be directly involved in those kinds of activities. So that's just kind of my soapbox for this. I think there's a whole network out there that you as our advisory body and volunteers, active volunteers, can be accessing to really bring this to the forefront of what our county does and get us motivated and moving again. General Stencil's very interested in meeting the group. We could certainly see if they could have a liaison come with us and give us updates. It would be great to have ambassadors go to the demobilizations and be aware of who's getting, what division is being sent to, areas throughout the world. I know that we are going to be removing ourselves from Afghanistan, but there's still active military in hotspots around the globe. So that's just pretty much the vision I would have for that. And
so Martha, are you still there? Martha?
Let's give her just a minute to try to reconnect.
Okay.
Probably hit the wrong button. We've all been there.
Exactly. I'll respond to, Is she not there? Okay, I think we may have lost her for a few minutes. Can you all hear me? Okay, all right. So what I was going to let her know is that prior to the current deployment that just went out, we did have a member from Camp Withicum who was a board member. He was our secretary. He has now returned as of December and is willing to come back onto the board to be our liaison with Camp Withicum. Also, Jamie, there's been a lot of turnover at Camp Withicum with their new job structures. And so the family readiness group, the FRGs and their bosses, they have all now gone to a federal level of work. And so Jamie went from working in the FRG office to now working in DEERS. Both the DEERS department and the family services department will be back online with us because they've had a chance to readjust and get up to speed on what's going on at Camp Withicum and with their jobs, that they can now be at our meetings on a regular basis and to brief us on what's going on with family. The family group has met, so the VAC was focused on family and mental health this year. And the family people that are on that committee have been meeting with Camp Withicum on a regular basis. And now we're ready to start capturing some data and putting some goals forth and presenting that to the board. So there is work still being done between the board and Camp Withicum and deployments. We did have 2 board members at the last coming home that happened in December. Most of the National Guard units are back. And we used to get briefed on those every other month from Brad. So once Brad's back on, he can start doing that kind of stuff. As far as the upper echelon, we will invite them to come to our meetings anytime they want to. But Brad's ready to get back to business and he's missed the VAC very much. And Let's see, what else? One comment she did not mention about Oregon City is on May 1st, they're doing a flag retirement. I believe it's going to be either 4 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And normally those kinds of things get discussed during our member updates. So if you are a member of American Legion, VFW, Purple Heart, we used to have a Submariner on here, the college, any types of events, those are when member updates come. Fort Kennedy, that's what this group is about, is sharing information and making sure we're out there in the public. So even though we may not have had a chance to discuss that much during COVID and being under restriction, a lot of stuff hasn't happened over the last year. So I just encourage you to get out there and do stuff. Know that we are working with Camp Withicum and they will be back. I haven't had anybody from the reserve, so I'll reach out to them and see what's going on there. So I don't know who we have on for public comment because I can't see everybody. Amy?
So Tracy, before we
ma'am.
go there, I think that Jerry has a comment and then we can go to public comment.
Okay. Did Martha ever make it back on?
No, and her assistant just sent me an email. She apologizes. She inadvertently hit exit and she really appreciates the time that we gave her today.
Okay.
I just thought I'd pass on because we're talking about units. 26th April, there's 119 Oregon National Guardmen deploying to Poland. They're from Bend, Albany, and the Dalles. And they're all going to be meeting at PDX and flying out that afternoon. And so that I would like to make sure we all know about that. Patriot Guard's going to be heavy involved in this and escort, they hope. And I did not hear about any yellow ribbons for those posts, or I'd have been there too, but that's probably another thing we missed. But the other thing I want to say amongst the group here is that these things that we've been told and insinuated in the past, we've been involved in all those activities, particularly Camp Withicum, whatever. I know that I have in some specs. So what we need to do is once this COVID passes, we need to get back to what we have been doing for the last few years and show somebody that I guess we're doing something, but don't get disheartened by the aspect that we keep getting told what we should do, because we have been doing that. And to be specific, I could sit here for 2 hours and explain everything that we've been doing, the VFWs and Legions and the separate 7 groups within the county that have now formed as veteran groups. So that's all I got to say. You're muted, Tracy.
Thank you. I don't know who's here from public. So Amy, can you call on anybody that's here from the public, please?
If we could have Jared Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I'm getting yes. Sweet. Thank you. First things first, I want to thank Amy for your expeditious return of my request. It was outstanding and much appreciated. I have a list of questions here. I'm gonna direct them towards you, Tracy, seeing as though you're the chairperson of this council. Feel free to take notes. I got 3 questions and some have multiple parts. And none of them are rhetorical. So first things first, the council's current annual work plan has housing scheduled for this meeting. I expected that to be the main topic. I'm just kind of wondering why that wasn't included on the agenda, or if it was taken off, and why that wasn't the focus of the meeting as a published again work plan for the council. Question 2. And I wrote this question prior to seeing this meeting, so let me rephrase it here. It seems like there are now several subcommittees within this council. I was going off the impression from the last meeting, reading the minutes, that there was only an equity statement subcommittee. Now it seems like there's multiple subcommittees. So I'm wondering who are the chairs of these subcommittees in accordance with Article 6, Sections 2 and 3 of the VAC bylaws. What are their purposes and how do those translate into Article 2B of your bylaws? And when and how are these subcommittee meetings and discussions, because it sounds like they're happening several times a week, how are those being conveyed to the public so they can listen in? Are the minutes being taken and published for record in accordance with Oregon State Public Meeting Law? And then last question, sitting in the last meeting and having it confirmed by the meeting minutes, there were multiple votes that were initiated and counted by non-voting members or non-members of the council. So Tracy, I'm wondering why, when this should not be permitted, according to Article 5, Section 4 and subsection A, and Article 4, Section 1, subsection C of your bylaws. Why were these allowed even when they are not binding? And why are they being followed through with? I yield the floor.
Well, first, on that last question, I don't know what votes you're talking about that were done from the last meeting. And so I will have to go back and look at those. I have those if you want them right here. That's fine. And can I ask, where are you from and how are you, interested in being in the VAC, or what are
my apologies. I should have led off with that. My name's Jared Jackson, as it says under my face here on the screen. I'm a community veteran.
Okay.
So
Thank you for your
this council should be representing me. So I'm just trying to have a say in what's going on.
Understood. Would you like to join the VAC? There are openings.
Not at this time.
Okay. And so as far as the subcommittees on those, we have had subcommittees all year long. The current ones that we have are on our mental health that we are working on, and on the family readiness that we are working on with outside agencies. On those committees, I'm pretty much the chair, except for on the mental health committee. That one is, I believe, Casey Curry. And those will be reported out in one of our either May or June meetings. As far as the work plan that goes with that stuff, and you were talking about housing being on there, Erica is the housing, she's in charge of the housing group, and she focused on the veteran homelessness part of the housing. And we do get housing updates throughout the year. It's just, when we were doing that particular work plan, we were meeting twice, every 2 months. Now we're meeting every month. And so sometimes things get pushed or sometimes things get added. So if there's something that you would like to know about the home or the housing for veterans in Clackamas County, please let us know. We can get that information out to you. As far as, the committees, the subcommittees, they report out. For this next committee, this is being done through the county commissioners asking us to review all of that document. We have to come up with all of the answers to those questions. And so it's going to take more than just meeting once a month in a subcommittee. And those are not open to the public unless you have an interest and you're at a meeting and you want to be there. So hopefully I've answered all your questions.
Well, I think you answered them, but those meetings they do fall under Oregon public meeting law, and they should be published, and what is discussed should be available to the public
Well,
the
then I
law.
have to refer to the county because they're the ones that write up our minutes. So Brenda, I'm going to defer to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Jared, for bringing that up. I think you have identified an area where we can tighten up a little bit. Our subcommittee structure is a little informal for some of the areas. I think the mental health has just done some really great work over the last couple of months. So I hear your request. We will make sure that all committee meetings are posted and that minutes are available.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Was there anything further, Jared?
Yes, some of the voting from that last meeting, I have those if you're curious.
Okay, could you, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's in your minutes. So
Okay. I don't have my computer in front of me right now, so I will have to go back and refer to those. I'm sorry.
oh, I just assumed you were on a computer because, you know, we're doing a Zoom meeting.
No, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. Let's see, right here, discussion on developing an equity statement. Chandra, who is Chandra? Is she a member?
No, and I do not.
Okay.
I would have to ask Amy.
Okay. She requested a show of hands of the council members, and apparently you agreed to move forward with developing a statement and creating an advisory, a subcommittee based on said vote that was initiated by a non-member. Let's see, there was another one.
Is Chandra with the county, Brenda?
Yeah, Chandra was one of the meeting facilitators that we use. So, Jared, I think you may be making a distinction between calling for a vote and actually voting on it. So if I understand your point, the call for the vote should have come from a member, but I don't believe that Chandra voted or any non-members have voted.
But that doesn't matter. The vote is not valid, correct?
Because it was called for by a non-member?
Correct. Yes, it was a random comment by a non-member. It was not seconded by a member, and it was not called to a vote. It was a show of hands by someone random. Doesn't matter who they work for. If I interrupted in the middle of this meeting and said, can I get a show of hands? Who wants to disband this VAC? And I hear a couple, yeah, me. It's okay. Are we going to disband the VAC? No, because it's not valid. So it doesn't matter the substance of it. It's the fact that it is not the way to do things. I'm sitting here and I asked Amy earlier this week for a copy of the bylaws for this committee. And it's apparent that no one here has read them or follows them at all. You even discussed the bylaws and the last time they were updated. And no, they were updated in August, not September or October, it was August. I have a copy. Do any of the members now, especially the secretary or the chairperson, does anyone have a copy of your own bylaws?
Yes, we all have copies of our bylaws. Yes, we do read them. And I'm sorry that you feel upset over this, but I would ask that, you give us time to respond. We weren't expecting to have this happen at our meeting, and we have 3 minutes left. So
I'm just holding you accountable because you are stating that you represent me and other veterans and my clients. And right now I've sat through 2 meetings and I'm just kind of disappointed in the way things are being conducted.
Taking
I yield the floor.
2 meetings is a lot different than being here for a long time. And I appreciate that you don't think that we're doing work for you, but I promise you, we are here with all of our volunteer hearts to do the best that we can for this county. Yes.
Interject something real quick. 10 steps for making motions. The member asks permission from the chairperson from the floor. The chairperson grants permission. The member makes the motion stating, I move to. The chairperson asks for any seconds. Members may stand and call out second if they simply call out second. If there is no second, the motion fails immediately. If there is a second, the chairperson states the question of the motion, and this opens up debate. The assembly debates the motion. During the time, the motion may be amended or added for further debate at a later time. When a debate is finished, the chairperson puts the motion to a vote. The chairperson counts the votes. The chairperson announces the votes and enacts or defeats the motion.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you for that, Lori. Going forward, we'll make sure that all of that is taken into account at our meetings. It's kind of difficult for most of us to see the screens because we can't see everybody involved. That's why we have Amy in the background and others that can help out with that. But going forward, we will make sure that that is the way that this flows. Is there any other public comment? You have 1 minute.
I
Okay.
would like to make a comment. I just hope we can get more involved. I've been involved personally in trying to create housing for a long time, and shelters and trying to get people's hands off of shopping carts. And I would like us to have more interaction among all of us, trying to be part of a proactive solution. And how can we all contribute to helping solve this problem? And I know that there's more people with a lot of insight out there and a lot of emotion and a lot of desire to do some things. And I don't feel like we're reaching out and utilizing the capacity of all of us that care. And I just would like to see more of that reaching into all of us, because I think we all have a lot to contribute.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. Okay, well, we're a minute past our time. Brenda, did you have any last comments from the county?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. We will be sending out notification as to when our next meetings are.
To make it proper, so we don't have illegal things, I make a motion that our meeting adjourns.
I second it.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Take a vote for that.